Hey, this is Ari. In this video, I want to share a little clip from a podcast I did with Wendy Myers on how heavy metals wreck your energy and how to detox your body. Enjoy the clip. And also, if you want to listen to the full length episode, the link for that is in the description down below.
Let's talk about how we acquire heavy metals and toxins. Where are we getting this stuff? So we get it in the air with breathing, and there's a lot of metals unleashed into the air from industrial manufacturing, from mining, from auto exhaust and other ways. We get toxins in personal care products, stuff that we're slathering on our skin and creating a very effective entryway into our body when you place different products on your skins that have hormone disrupting chemicals and heavy metals like lead and cadmium in them.
I
And
want, I
then,
want to pause for just a moment and
yes.
just point something out, because a lot of people think heavy metals, they think, mercury or arsenic, and their brain immediately goes to like tuna fish or seafood. And that's the source of mercury and maybe silver fillings, mercury fillings, like dental fillings. And then maybe they know like, oh, there's arsenic also in things like chicken and maybe rice, but there's all these other sources. In the first two you've mentioned the air as a major source. I think most people have no idea that they're getting exposed to heavy metals via air pollution or personal care products. Like, I've seen research showing that maybe the percentage, I forget the percentage, but some ungodly percentage of like makeup and lipstick has high levels of lead in it.
Yep.
So, people, I think I just want to point out to people as you're going through this list of places we're being exposed that it's not just seafood, it's not just dental fillings. There's many, many sources of these different kinds of heavy metals that we're pretty much all being exposed to.
Yeah, it's really shocking when you kind of start delving into this. Like, for instance, I was looking to buy some new dishes, and it is shocking how many dishes have lead and cadmium in them.
Mm.
It's unbelievable. So I was trying to find ones that had been tested before. And so it's just in kids' toys, there's lots of lead in children's toys, especially older ones, vintage ones, even books can have lead and cadmium in them.
Wow.
In the colors that are in the inks. So it's just, there's a lot of places that even I'm still learning about.
I heard one the other day from someone that I interviewed that I did not know about, which was the wicks of candles.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that? That like traditional, I knew like most typical candles on the market have like all kinds of perfumes and stuff like that. And the paraffin wax emits fumes that are toxic. But she was saying that lead particles are infused into the wicks of candles in most of those kinds of candles. It's not just cotton. And that, you're literally releasing lead into the air when you burn some of these candles.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, they have to have something in them that keeps them kind of burning. Like, for instance, like marijuana or cigarette papers, as rolling papers have cadmium in them because it causes them to have a slow burn.
Mm.
And
It's
so there's
totally
a lot.
worth it, though.
Yeah, totally.
The cadmium
And
poisoning is worth the cost of that cool, slow burn.
yeah, that's the exception to what we're talking about to avoid. Yeah, and then there's food, where you mentioned, and food, unfortunately, because of the soil that food is grown in, and this soil can have cadmium and other metals from chemical fertilizers. The chemical fertilizers can cause uranium to be etched off of rocks in the soil and get into the food and the soil. And then we burned leaded gasoline for decades. So there's lead in most of the soil where food is grown. And then the metals that are in the air can settle into the soil and onto the vegetables and create unfortunately, a toxic food supply. Even if you're eating organic food, remember, organic means pesticide, herbicide free. It doesn't mean heavy metal free. There is no certification on food for heavy metals because people will be too freaked out. So what I tell people is not to avoid certain foods necessarily. Like, don't, stop eating fish because it has some level of mercury in it. But I prefer people don't worry too much about the toxins in food because we're getting them everywhere. You still have to eat. Fish is an incredibly nutritious source of food. I prefer that people eat fish and then do just a sensible daily detox because fish is such a good source of nutrition that we don't want to be missing out on that. And so you want to avoid some obvious sources like ahi tuna. That's much higher sources of mercury than, say, a skipjack tuna that's in canned tuna fish. So there's some distinctions there to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then also industrial manufacturing, that's unfortunately contributes to a lot of dumping into waterways, air pollution, contamination of soils. Louisiana is a mess. I mean, there's chemical factories everywhere there, and there's lots of dumping, very high cancer rates as a result. Supplements can also be a source of metals, where people can get, lead and other metals in supplements as well. That doesn't mean avoid supplements. It's just be aware that's a potential source. And it's great if you have products that have third-party testing for metals. But even if products have lead in them, like say greens powders, a lot of greens powders can have a small amount of lead in them. But greens powders usually have so much boron that any lead in that product is not going to go into your system, because the boron really binds onto that lead and just takes it out of your body.
Hey, this is Ari. I hope you enjoyed this video. And one more thing before you go. Actually, two more things. One is, if you enjoyed this particular little clip, the link to the full-length podcast is in the description down below. So make sure to check that out. Also, one more thing. Let me ask you a question. What if I could show you how to double your energy levels and dramatically improve your brain function, reducing your anxiety and depression to a degree on par with antidepressant drugs, but without the side effects? Sound pretty interesting? Well, there are, in fact, numerous compounds that can do this, that have been shown to do this. And I'll take you through just a few of these very briefly. One of them is rhodiola rosea. And this has been shown in studies, rhodiola rosea extract in people with stress-related fatigue and exhaustion, to cut their levels of fatigue and brain fog in half in less than a month. Just this one compound. There's another compound in my formula Energenesis called NT factor phospholipids that's been shown to help repair mitochondrial membranes and mitochondrial health to the level of healthy 29-year-olds, taking people with deteriorated mitochondria who are over the age of 65, restoring it to the level of healthy 29-year-olds. And that has been shown in numerous studies in various types of chronic fatigue, aging-associated chronic fatigue, obesity-related chronic fatigue syndrome, to increase energy levels by 30 to 45% in the span of 4 to 12 weeks, depending on the specific study. So dramatic improvements in a very, very short period of time. Two more compounds that are amazing, I highly recommend, that are in my formula Ultra Brain, along with rhodiola rosea. Saffron extract. This has been shown to increase levels of, improve your mood, I should say, and decrease levels of depression on par with fluoxetine, which is Prozac. And not only that, but with fewer side effects. It's much safer and much less likely to cause negative effects than antidepressant drugs are. Acetyl L-carnitine is another compound that's been shown to dramatically improve brain health in older adults. It also improve energy levels in older adults with chronic fatigue by between 40 to 50% in just the span of 2 to 4 months. And the last thing I'll mention here is acetyl L-carnitine has also been compared to antidepressant drugs and been shown, like saffron, to be as effective as antidepressant drugs in combating depression, but without the harmful side effects that so often occur with the drugs. So this is just a small sampling of the over 35 compounds that are in my formulas Energenesis and Ultra Brain that are all proven to dramatically improve energy levels, mitochondrial health, and brain health, and much, much more. And I highly recommend that you go check these out. If you're struggling with depression or anxiety or brain fog, if you're struggling with stress-related exhaustion and burnout, if you're struggling with chronic fatigue, go check out these formulas, give them a shot. I promise you are going to be blown away by the results. And like I said, the science has already proven that these things work. So you don't have to just take my word for it. There's lots of research to support that, and I'll even link to some of that research down below so you can verify everything that I just said for yourself. So the links to those studies will be in the description for this video down below. So check them out. Check out the formulas on the energyblueprint.com. Again, Energenesis is the mitochondrial formula, and Ultra Brain is our brain formula. Check them out, try them out, and I think you're going to be blown away by the results. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you again soon.